Free the line, free the line. Trying to give people time to get in this live. What it do, my brother? What it do? What it do? Please share this live with your timeline as you come into this live, man. I usually go live from my other page. I usually don't go live on this page. So I'm trying to see how many people come on this live. If not, I'll switch to my other page and do the live from my other page. But I'm trying to see how many people are going to jump in here real quick. Free the line, free the line. Trying to see who up on here. Free the line, free the line. Share this live with your timeline, people. It's been a minute since I did a live from my personal page, you feel me? I usually do my lives from my community page, but I felt like I wanted to tap in with the people on my home page, you feel me, who may not be seeing my videos on my other page, my other lives on my other page. So I'm just trying to see how many people are going to jump in here real quick to see if I'm going to move forward with this topic real fast, man. I wanted to hop on here and talk about this real quick topic of current news, current events, what's going on. Let me see. Matter of fact, let me share this shit in a couple of groups. Hold on. Y'all might want to share this shit. I'm telling you. Because I'm about to get to the point. I'm about to address something that needs to be addressed that should have been addressed a long time ago, man. So I chose today, top of the week, to hop on here and tap in with this little topic. Well, not really a topic, but this situation that's going on with these organizations, you feel me, that's supposed to be for the people. So let me go ahead and hop right into it, man. People will jump in or see this live later, you feel me? Let me go ahead and hop in. Let me hop in. Really, man, this shit is controversial. I really don't even know where to begin with this situation, you feel me? Because this has been going on for this is 2021, damn near 7 years, man. And, if somebody needs to speak up on it, and I chose to, speak on it today. Something that's just came out in the news recently, a couple of days ago. Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? The elephant in the room. Black Lives Matter. The organization or whatever you want to call it. Because at this point, network, organization, I really don't know what they are. You feel me? Because Black Lives Matter, over the last couple of years, to a certain degree, I'm not going to knock certain things that the organization has done. And I'm going to just base that off some of my elders and what the elders been saying on the feedback when it comes to BLM, Black Lives Matter, is the fact that there's nothing wrong with, we will give them a little bit of credit of, placing some kind of pride, some kind of self-love, some kind of, sense of, value when it comes to black people. We definitely can give Black Lives Matter that by saying that Black Lives Matter. You feel me? That it's placing some kind of value, some kind of, serious reconstruction or redeveloping of value into black people's lives, black community lives. We're not taking that away from them. You feel me? Because they did, put some kind of value back on black lives or black lives. You feel me? But like I always, been saying over the last couple of years of my evaluating them and observing Black Lives Matter is the fact that when it comes to these type of things, right, when it comes to organizations and organizations start to do things that we do not, agree with or something that has to be criticized. When organizations do something that gets the attention of other people's, you feel me, or other organizations or other activists or other whatever you want to call yourselves, when these organizations start to do things that are not in the interest of new African people, black people, misnomer African Americans, or whatever you call yourself, when these organizations start to do things that are, not putting people first over profits, you see what I'm saying? Because you got a lot of organizations out here who like to put profits over people. And that's counter-revolutionary. That's counter-evolutionary. That's counterproductive. That's not helping new African communities. That's not helping black communities. You feel me? When they start to exploit the lower class, working class, proletariat of peoples. You see what I'm saying? When these organizations start to step off in that lane, it is our duty as the people, because we represent the people and the people's power. It is our duty and it's our, obligation to criticize these organizations when they start to, especially when money comes into the picture. You feel me? When money starts to come into the picture, you have to start to put it like this. You have to start to, take the blindfolders off. You feel me? Because I'm going to try to speak this shit to you in the most elementary way that I can speak to you. I'm not even going to get into big terminology and things of that nature. But you have to start to take the mask off. You see what I'm saying? And start to use your vision and observe. You see what I'm saying? When these organizations start to step out of the boundaries of being for the people or, working with the people. You know what I'm saying? It's interest. Working on behalf of the people. You see what I'm saying? When that starts to get a little shaky, a little weird, and, the community in a whole is not benefiting from, you see what I'm saying, these organizations who are indeed supposed to be servants of the people. See, a lot of these organizations that get started, like BLM, they forget the key basis of why your organization exists, which is being servants of the people. You see what I'm saying? That's what being a political social activist is about. That's what a revolutionary is about, is being a servant of the people. The people comes first. Facts. Period. You see what I'm saying? So recent news and for my colonized peoples, man. You see what I'm saying? Because we got to establish and understand there's a majority of new African people, there's a majority of black people who are still colonized. They are not liberated out of their minds to understand the material conditions that they are in. And most important, they're not even, they're not even liberated mentally to understand what organizations are for. That are supposed to be organizations that are supposed to be so-called, what they call it? Supposed to be, I can't even think of the word right now. They're supposed to be nonprofit organizations, things of that nature, or grassroots movements or grassroots organizations. You have so many people that's in the black community, mothers, fathers, children, but we're gonna hold this to the parents. You have mothers and fathers and things of that nature who are still colonized, and they don't understand when they're being exploited. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of these organizations come into our communities or get started in our communities, and they have, in the beginning, they show so much, passion for the people, and it seems like they're working for the interests of the people. You feel me? But not necessarily so. You feel me? Not necessarily so after time goes by. You see what I'm saying? Or the agenda, the political social agenda, may not no longer be there. These organizations tend to, disappear or not be there for the people no longer. If that makes sense. Because they start to do things like capitalize off the people. You feel me? Capitalize off of our internal struggle, our internal violence, or our external violence on our communities, which I'm speaking on today, which is the external, you see what I'm saying, opposition. But the issue is the internal opposition, because we have internal opposition inside the infrastructure of black community that's taken out of the community, that's exploiting black death, that's exploiting black bodies, that's exploiting police terrorism, that's exploiting black, violence, period. That is what a lot of these organizations are doing. They are starting to repeat our oppressors' ways of handling our communities in the first place, when we already know why our communities are the way they are, or why police terrorism exists, why black violence exists, why these poor third world conditions exist, is basis of capitalism. You see what I'm saying? So when you have grassroots organizations or nonprofit organizations, you feel me, that starts to incorporate capitalism amongst their agenda, that's when you start to see things get abnormal. Like exploitation. Exploitation is abnormal. That is a symptom of white supremacy. That is a symptom of white nationalism. That's a symptom of capitalism. Period. Neocolonialism. It's a symptom of that. When organizations that's supposed to put supposed to put people over profits, you see what I'm saying, start to do the reverse abnormality, which is put profits over people. And that makes our community, and that makes the community servants and community organizations start to look bad, and that takes the trust away from the people. The people start to no longer trust you. The people no longer tend to no longer trust black organizations when black organizations start to exploit the community. Black capitalism is not the solution to our liberation, man. So when we start to see these mainstream propagandist organizations, these so-called popular organizations, you feel me, who are always on television, who is always in the spotlight, start to make millions off the people, they have to be held accountable. And what I'm speaking on? I'm speaking on the recent news and the recent events that's taking place in Ferguson. Mike Brown Sr. has now come out along with other Ferguson freedom fighters and other Ferguson political activists and is saying that they have evidence, and the evidence is known, that the Black Lives Matter organization, global network, as an organization, made $90 million. Made $90 million last year in the pandemic, of all things. In the pandemic. 2020 is the pandemic. So I'm just speaking because I want people to start using logics. You don't have to be a revolutionary. You don't have to be a super duper political activist. You don't have to have no titles or no things of that nature to advance or overstand and use logical consciousness to observe and critique things that's not right. You can be a poor working class citizen, right? But you know right from wrong. You know right from wrong. That's the only thing that you have to use, people, is knowing that what's right, what's wrong, what don't look right. You see what I'm saying? And what looks wrong. That's all you have to use. You don't have to be a revolutionary. You don't have to be a political activist, man. You can be a working, lumping proletariat. Either or, the lumpen and the proletariat. The lumpen is the non-working class peoples. The proletariat is the working class peoples. You feel me? So you can be on either or of that fence, or you might be both. But you don't have to be no super duper political activist or worker of the community. You can be an everyday 9-to-5 working class citizen. You feel me? To critique, because like I said before, the peoples are the power. The people are who we are serving, right? So the peoples have to start using their conscious logic senses to understand when something is not right. You feel me? With these black organizations. And you have the duty and the right to hold them accountable. You have the duty and the right to critique their actions, their movements. You feel me? That's your duty. Working class, 9-to-5 working class people. That's your duty. It's to watch what these organizations are doing in your community. Are they benefiting your community, or are they non-beneficial to your community? Meaning exploiting it. Poverty pimps. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of new Africans and a lot of black people in America tend to tend to want to understand why nothing changes in their community. These are the reasons. These are the reasons. Black capitalism. When organizations who's supposed to be in counter opposition to capitalism and capitalist structures and the political structure and the white oligarchy, the white supremacist government, the white nationalist government. You feel me? When you tend to be in opposition to that, you feel me? There's no way you're supposed to become what you're fighting against. And this is what BLM has become. They have become an organization on the tree of organizations that are now exploiting black people, exploiting third world communities, exploiting third world conditions, exploiting new African communities, conditions, and genocide. This is facts. This is what they're doing. Because there's no way in hell you can make $90 million off the people and don't take care of the people. How is that? That's not scientifically logical. That's why it's an abnormality when we're speaking on capitalism. When you see us in the black liberation movement saying that capitalism would never ever be the solution to liberation of new African people, black people, this is what we mean. We're seeing examples every day play out every day in the black so-called conscious community or these so-called black organizations, man. That the people themselves are thrusting these people to the forefront of the media, the COINTELPRO media, the white power structure media, which controls everything, the CIA media, which controls the propaganda that they want to spin into your households. You feel me? So it's like, once that happens, you see what I'm saying? Once that happens, you feel me? Once that happens, things become very, very in reverse abnormalities. Because there's no way you can make $90 million off of poor working class peoples and their communities still look like third world conditions. How is that? Ferguson is still in third world conditions. Whether it's labor, culture, social conditioning, housing, healthcare, the key things that black communities are struggling for. $90 million can change. $90 million can change thousands of new African black communities in North America. Not even just Ferguson. Not even just Ferguson. $90 million. So who has this $90 million? We have to hold them accountable. Who has this $90 million? Now, Mike Brown and the Ferguson activists, political activists, the Ferguson freedom fighters are now demanding $20 million. And I hate to see this type of thing going on because this is what capitalism does. It causes chaos, separation, individualism. Individualities start to manifest. And then power struggles start to happen. Chaotic atmospheres start to happen when this type of money gets in the black struggles, the black genocide, and just plain out, you see what I'm saying, oppression. When this type of money starts to come in between being productive with the usage of these funds. You see what I'm saying? Because people got to understand, it's a difference in making capital, right? It's a difference in making capital. Yes, we have to make capital. We have to make capital because we live in a capitalist society. The economic system of the United States government is a capitalist system, meaning that it benefits the minority ruling class and the minority higher class hierarchy of how this country operates systematically. That's what capitalism does. You see what I'm saying? Capitalism benefits the minority power structure, the wealthy, the 1%. It doesn't benefit the majority, which is oppressed working class people. It doesn't benefit them. Specifically, new Africans and Chicanos, who's at the bottom of the ladder. And even our indigenes and the native nations of peoples. The capitalist system and structure of the United States government does not benefit us. So you can be an organization that makes capital, right? You can be an organization that makes capital. Making capital is people's Ujamaa, if you want to put it in those terms. Ujamaa, which is scientific socialism or, cooperative economics. You feel me? Where when you're making capital as a household, when you're making capital in your communities, and the community is making capital, the capital rotates in the community to help liberate the community economically. That's making capital. That's not capitalism. And you're not using the funds or you're not making the capital to exploit others in your community. You see what I'm saying? That's what making capital is. People need to learn how to distinguish the two. A capitalist and a person who's just earning capital. You have to, it's a big difference. This is why political education is so important, so you can distinguish the two. Because a lot of people get the two confused. Like, you can be a revolutionary, a political activist, and make money. But you can make money without exploiting people or exploiting your community. It's about rotating that money back in the community because you're a servant of the people. You're a servant of the people. When your organization is established in your community and it's supposed to be doing community work and working for the people, that dollar that you're making off that money has to benefit the economic structure of that poor community, that third world community, that black community, that Chicano community. That money has to benefit that if you're working for that in behalf of the people. So if BLM can make $90 million, if BLM can make $90 million, there's no way Mike Brown family should be struggling. There's no reason that these Ferguson activists should be struggling to serve the people if $90 million was made off of their struggle. This is something you have to understand. Black Lives Matter came into existence, people. Black Lives Matter came into existence off of the Ferguson struggle. Off of the Ferguson struggle. If it was not for the death of Mike Brown in 2014, if it wasn't for that death and that martyrdom, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't be no Black Lives Matter. Period. Because this movement was thrust into this movement and this organizational organizing in Ferguson when Mike Brown got killed, assassinated, comes from the internal struggle. The Ferguson people that were on the ground in Ferguson, who we call Ferguson freedom fighters or Ferguson activists. This came off of their hard work and their shoulders of organizing. Darian Seals, rest in power. Individuals like that. Because you got to understand, Black Lives Matter wasn't even an organization at first. It was a hashtag. And this hashtag came off the hard work, the hard struggles of internal working class people inside Ferguson, the lumpen and the proletariat coming together and organizing against the crooked law enforcement agencies of Ferguson. This came from the streets of people like Darian Seals, people like that, the youth. Like Huey P. Newton said, the youth, the revolution is always in the hand of the youth. And this is what happened in Ferguson. The youth sparked up the counter police terroristic movement in Ferguson that would later spring into Black Lives Matter, BLM, right? This comes off of the youth of Ferguson, the freedom fighters. And you telling me here in 2021, these brothers and sisters inside the Ferguson movement and the Ferguson freedom fighters are still living in conditions that are third world impoverished. That is insane. While you have an organization that's supposed to be for the people who are sitting on $90 million. Who's sitting on $90 million? An organization. Brothers and sisters, young brothers and sisters who have lost their life in Ferguson, man. Ferguson activists who have been assassinated, murdered, and killed over this last 7 years. 6 of those activists are now dead, and one is still incarcerated. One of those youths are still incarcerated. One of those young men, young adults, are still incarcerated from organizing in Ferguson when Mike Brown was assassinated. So I definitely understand why Mike Brown Sr. is upset. I totally understand why Ferguson activists are upset to see an organization exploit them, exploit their hard work, exploit their struggles, exploit Mike Brown's death. See, that's when it really gets bad. When these black organizations start to exploit black bodies and black death. That's bad. And they have to be held accountable. You have to understand, people, that no organization, no political activist or no activist is above critique of the people. None of them. I don't care how much you like them. I don't care how much they're popular. I don't care how much you love them. I don't care how much you support them. But no activist or no organization is above the people or above the critique of the people, man. Because we are working for the interests of the people. That's why it's all power to the people. This is why we always say it's people's power. So no organization, period, should be exploiting no new African community or no black community in that manner and making that much money off black communities, and that money is not being rotated back into black communities to help with their oppression, their struggle, their poverty, their housing, their food, their clothing, their health. None of that should be taking place when a person or organization is making $90 million off of donations and funds in a pandemic. In a pandemic, people. And then you still have colonized individuals still walking around here talking about, oh, man, Black Lives Matter is this, Black Lives Matter that. No, brother or sister, you're colonized. Because you see everything that may be black as something that's for black when it's not that scientific. The struggle is scientific. It's an exact science. That's what the struggle is. The struggle is an exact science. It starts with the exact science of thinking. You have to be a thinker. Think logically. Observe logically. Logically. When things start to not add up, when things don't make sense and things don't add up, you have to come into the understanding of thinking logically to critique that and to hold the individuals accountable to what's not right. Period. It's that simple. It's elementary, brothers and sisters. It's elementary. It's elementary. The struggle is exact science. And it doesn't take you to be some kind of super duper activist or political activist or some kind of revolutionary individual to understand what's right and what's wrong. It's science. You understand that an organization is supposed to be in your community for the people to organize the people's power. That's common sense. Not make economic gains off of your oppression, off of your death, off of your struggles, off of your organizing, off of your sacrifices. That's abnormal. That's counter people's power. That's counter revolutionary. That's counter unproductive. It's not productive to elevating or liberating black communities, new African communities. It's counterproductive. When you have your own organizations that scream black this, black that, black this, you feel me? And it's not benefiting the families, the victims, the community in whole, and creating new economic structures to liberate themselves, man. Or just plain old organizing for self-determination. If none of that is present off of an organization coming into your community, that's not even from your community. Black Lives Matter wasn't even from Ferguson. Black Lives Matter is not from Ferguson. The owners, the activists, the owners of Black Lives Matter are not even from Ferguson. They came into Ferguson in 2014. When Mike Brown got assassinated, they came in there. They were invited, where they really just showed up on their own. I'm not even going to use that they were invited. They showed up on their own. Like I said, it morphed out of the hard work of these young organizers, the Freedom Ferguson freedom fighters. This is how BLM even has a heartbeat. And something else I need you to think about. And I'm not going to keep repeating myself about this. And a lot of us that's in the Black Liberation Movement, we're not even going to keep repeating this stuff because it don't make sense. Because at the end of the day, it takes logical common sense. You feel me? It's the fact that when you create an organization for new African communities, Black communities, and it's an organization that's supposed to serve the people, you're supposed to serve the peoples in all interests across the board, whether it's colonial, internal, or external violence, external and internal violence supposed to be addressed. If you are an African or a Black organization that's saying that you're working in the interests of Black people in the Black community, you're supposed to be organizing around external violence and internal violence. Both are on the board. Both are a problem. You don't create an organization that's supposed to only address external issues. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction when an organization is based only on fighting against or organizing against external violence or external threats. That is abnormal. That is counter-revolutionary. That is counter-Black power. That is counter-Black liberation. When you're only creating an organization that fights against external threats. No, you're supposed to be organizing and operating and struggling against the core basis of what's going on, which is your external problems, your external issues, your external genocide inside your community. And organizing these people to become self-determined, self-reliable on their own and pull themselves out of their third world conditions and their poor, impoverished conditions, man. No organization should be working just in the interest of fighting external threats. That's when you start to pay attention and start to understand, like, this don't seem right. This ain't right. This can't be right. It cannot be right. And this goes back to, again, before I close, is the fact that a lot of these organizations like to exploit the Black Power movement, like to exploit the Black Liberation movement for their own benefits and gains, which is Black capitalism. Because BLM has now become a Black capitalist organization. The global network itself is a Black capitalist organization. And once that organization becomes a Black capitalist organization, it has now joined the side of our historical enemies and working against our interests of Black liberation. Facts. Facts. That organization has now become a part of our external threats and our external historical enemies, and now is beginning to work against the interests of our communities. BLM, the network, the global organization, has become a Black capitalist organization. And that means it's no good to us at this point. It's no good to us. And that takes me back to what I'm always explaining to people on how organizations who don't have elders or who don't pay attention or listen to the elders of the Black Power movement or the Black liberation struggle. Like last year, 2020, when the Black Liberation Movement elders came out and put out a statement calling out entertainers, Black organizations, letting them know the proper way to organize. When you start to ignore that, that means you're not really trying to liberate our people. You're really not trying to organize our people or be servants of our people, man. When you don't pay attention to what the elders tell you. It's not that elders are trying to speak down on you. No, they're trying to show you the path. They're trying to show you the way so you won't make the mistakes that the elders made in the Black Liberation Movement in the 60s, who are anti-capitalists, who are anti-neocolonialists, anti-imperialists. You see what I'm saying? Anti-exploitation. When you make $90 million off the people, you have now exploited the working class, poor peoples. Period. And that's not right. That's not right. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. Like Mike Brown Sr. said, they have to be held accountable. And those families, Mike Brown family, all those Ferguson activists who sacrificed their lives, who were murdered incarcerated, all of them deserve their just due economically. They deserve their just due economically. Period. Anytime an organization that's externally not from your community comes in your community and takes money out your community has now become a problem, an issue that has to be addressed. Because now they have become external problems that's working in the interest of our oppressors. Period. Whether you're black, Chicano, Puerto Rican, Indian, whatever you are. Once you do that and you take that money out of poor working class communities, you have now become subject of external threats and external problems that has to be addressed. Mike Brown family deserves some of that money. The Ferguson freedom fighters deserve some of that money, man. Period. They deserve some of that money. $90 million in the economic structure of the community has not elevated out of its impoverishment to a sustainable way of living and conditions since 2014, and you made $90 million in 2020 alone. Y'all have to think about that. You have to think about that and address that, because it's wrong and it's abnormal. It's wrong. And that's why I said all this goes back to political education, and the masses, the working class masses have to educate themselves. The working class people, you have to educate yourselves, people. Or you're going to continuously get tricked by your own people. It's called tricknology. This is something that the Nation of Islam call it, tricknology. Or you will fall for the devil's tricknology, or you will fall for the black devil's tricknology. Tricknology is real, especially when you're dealing with capitalism, especially when you're dealing with the American system and their currency. Tricknology is the central basis of exploitation. Tricknology. This is why you have to educate yourself. You have to politically educate yourself, people, so you won't get tricked by the tricksters. So you won't get tricked by the tricksters, the exploiters of your communities and your nation, because we're a nation of peoples. We're a nation. And there's no way we can liberate these communities and create liberated zones and create sustainable conditions when you have black organizations coming into your community and exploiting your community for the funds. There's no way you're going to liberate yourself that way, people. You have to start doing, the peoples of these communities, y'all have to start putting in established methods and systems of vetting. You have to vet these organizations, man. And what do I mean by vetting? Vetting means you have to do background checks on these organizations before you let these organizations come in your communities and try to pretend like they're serving your people, when actually they're doing the opposite. That's what vetting is. In the 60s, in the 70s, in the revolutionary era of time and periods of the Black Power movement and the Black Liberation movement, they had a system of vetting. You have to vet these individuals to make sure these individuals aren't informants or provocateurs, or the worst of them all, black capitalists. Black capitalists. You have to vet these organizations, man. You can't let these organizations come in your community. You can't let no activists come into your community these days without vetting them and doing a background check on these people who claim to be leaders, who claim to be black voices, who claim to be, people who are coming to organize you. You have to do background checks. You have to vet. And we have to start paying attention to the youth. You have to start paying attention to the youth and these individuals who are on the ground organizing when things like this happening, who are coming out and telling you that this organization is not right. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's exploiting us. It's not helping us. You have to listen to the youth. Y'all didn't listen to Darius Seals. And this man paid the ultimate price, which is death. This man paid the ultimate price, which is death. And 5 other activists of Ferguson paid the ultimate price, which is death. And they were telling you all along that Black Lives Matter is exploiting our communities for financial gains. And I guarantee you, every founder of Black Lives Matter and every one of their stool pigeon stool pigeon popular activists that you see all on social media, the TVs, COINTELPRO, media, every last one of them are living better than the people that they are serving. I would put money on that. I would put money on that shit. Every last one of them are living good or living better than the so-called families, the victims, and the community that they supposed to be serving. I will put money on that. I guarantee you they living good. Anytime you make $20 million in the pandemic. Unheard of. Unheard of. I never seen an organization make that money when the economy was at its highest peak of making capital and on the good side of the economy being a great economy. I've never seen a black organization make that much money in a year in that period of time. And these people made 90 million in a pandemic when the economy system was bad. When the economy system was bad, made 90 million off black bodies, off of police terrorism on black bodies. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. How is that possible? I hope Mike Brown Sr., I hope the Ferguson fighters get the just due that they deserve for the hard work that they have done and continue to do against police terrorism and things of that nature. You feel me? But in realistic terms, they probably would never ever see a dime of that money. You feel me? Because that organization has now exploited them and have exploited and dispersed those funds amongst their own greedy selves. So I'm pretty sure Mike Brown family would never ever see none of that money. I'm pretty sure the Fergus community would never ever see none of that money. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm pretty sure of that. So in closing, man, I send revolutionary salutations to the spirit of Mike Brown. I send revolutionary power and revolutionary spirit to the spirit of Darius Seals and those other 5 Ferguson freedom fighters who were killed, women and men that were killed or shot during the Ferguson uprising, the Ferguson movement. You know what I'm saying? I send nothing but strong revolutionary love, bulletproof love to their spirits and to the ones who continue to struggle in Ferguson. And I just hope that the working class communities, the working class people, I hope you begin to wake up and start to see Black Lives Matter for what it is. And it's not in the great standing of being an interest or a benefit to our communities at this point in time, when you can make $90 million off of poor people's struggle and black body struggles. When you can do that, you are not in the interest of the people and you don't serve people's power. So I'm going to say that in closing, man. Be a loyal enemy, man. Be a loyal enemy. Because your enemies have more faith in what you can do than what you think you can do. Be a loyal enemy, man. Free the land. By any means necessary. Haki Shakur, man. A.K.A. E.K. Chuku out, man.